So my great-grandfather was a proud Scotsman, and he taught his children this secret: happiness is helping others. Well, his son, my grandfather, decided to go to London Medical School, become a doctor, and then thought, where can I go to help people the most? He got an invitation to China, so he ended up with his family in the mountains of southern China. My father was born in China, so he taught my father this same secret. Then it was time to send him to boarding school in England. At boarding school, my father excelled in academics and sports. He went on to get into London Medical School, and it was the time of World War II. So they actually had to transfer to Cambridge because London was being bombed. And he was wondering what to do with his life when he received a letter from China, from a mayor, asking, can you come and help us in Chongqing? And we will pay you 10 sacks of rice every month. My father had a heart for China. He accepted the invitation and got the family ready and went off to China. I was 3 months old when we left Scotland. So we arrived in Chongqing, and for the first 1 or 2 months, my older brother got a fever. And no matter what my father did, couldn't get the fever to go back. So he thought, I better take the family to Hong Kong where there's more medical help from the British hospitals there. As soon as we got there, his fever stopped. We tried to go back to China, and the door was closed. My father was thinking of going back to England when the British embassy asked him, would you be willing to go to Taiwan? Because there's no doctor there right now. So my father said, okay, I'll go for 1 year. But he stayed for 30 years. So he set up a clinic to help the poor. He had people lining up outside because it was free. And the neighbors started to become a little aggravated because the line was so long and it was blocking all the alleys. And they said to him, Dr. Dale, why don't you charge the patients at least 1 coin? And that'll drop the line a bit. So he did that. But my father had a heart for people that had no coins in their pockets. So he put a little bowl out with coins in it. If you didn't have a coin, you could take a coin out and use that to make your registration. My father always made sure that the people with the least were shown love and kindness. My young days were running around the streets. We didn't have to wear shoes. That was nice. But as I grew up and I got to 4 or 5 years old, I was going to Chinese kindergarten. My Chinese was great. My English wasn't very good. But at 6 years old, I got sent away to boarding school in England. So I had to improve my English very quickly. But after that, I came back to Taipei and went to an American school. So I had a half British, half American education. And then after high school, I said goodbye to my parents and I went off to university in Michigan. When I got to the States, my father had only given me $45. He wanted me to get a summer job. You're going to work, son. So I went to a record store to try to get a job. The manager said, would you like to carry equipment for our band? So I carried equipment for them. Pretty soon, I knew everybody in the local scene in music. And then I got invited into a band myself. That was the beginning of my music career. Within 2 years, we signed with Capitol Records and became the top band in Michigan. I had all sorts of legends coming through my house. The Pink Floyd, The Who, Bobby Seger, Iggy Pop, all household names in the United States. Life was amazing. I don't know how it all happened, but there I was in the middle of America in one of its biggest changes it had had in generations. I ended up in Hollywood, and in Hollywood after a while, I started to get a little bit disillusioned. A lot of my friends were rich and famous, but I didn't see the happiness that I expected to see. So I went back to Taiwan for a visit. And when I got there, my father was amazing. He was the happiest person that I met. And yet he was working 12-hour days, 16-hour days, off into the mountains to help the Aborigines. And so I finally got it. After chasing my dream all the way to Hollywood, I discovered happiness is helping other people. So I'm passing that on to my children. I decided to make a big change in my own life. And I stayed out in Asia to enjoy the inheritance that I had received. I spend my time writing songs. Now I'm writing in Chinese and trying to encourage everybody I can find through the words and lyrics of my songs to really cherish their life.
生命坠落。